Hey guys, how's it going? Mr. Ash here. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some acts that happened um, that the British government passed on the colonists back in the late 1700s that the colonists were not very happy about. Okay. So I'm going to lead you through one act, and I'm kind of going to explain what the act said, why the act was passed, and then how the colonists reacted to it. Um, and then you're going to actually pick one of the acts, the other ones, and you will do the same. You'll tell me the answer to those three questions. And we'll kind of work through this all together then as a group. So the one that I'm going to focus on is a Sugar Act, the Sugar Act. Okay. So the Sugar Act is just a tax on imported sugar. Okay. Imported sugar and molasses. And the sugar was used to make rum. The molasses was used to turn into rum, actually. So that was one reason that the colonists wanted it, is because they liked their rum. Okay. And if the molasses came from England, it was totally fine. There was no tax on it. But if it came from one of these countries down here in the Caribbean that made their own molasses, it would be taxed. The reason it would be taxed is those countries were run by France and Netherlands. So they didn't, England didn't get any money from that. France and the Netherlands got the money. So England needed to tax it a little bit in their mind. Now, the reason they wanted to tax it is because the English were in big debt after the French and Indian War. Sending all those soldiers over from England to the colonies cost the British a lot. Okay. And so they thought, well, the colonies were involved in this. They should help pay back some of that debt. The British were already paying off the debt in England by raising other taxes, but this was one way the colonists were invited to help out. So what would happen is the colonists would want sugar, and so they would just have British ships come down here and then go right to the colonies. And they never paid tax on it before. Now, if a British ship came here to these island nations and then went here, the colonists would have to pay taxes on that molasses that came from there and the sugar that came from there. Okay, just a little bit extra. But the colonists didn't really like this at all. So what they started doing is they'd just send their own boats down and then find ways around other places around here to bring their sugar and molasses back to without paying the tax. They might bribe somebody at the port. They might not take it to a port, but just kind of crash their ship onto a beach and unload it. Okay. So the colonists just skirted this tax. They didn't actually it didn't make very much money because the colonists just found ways to smuggle sugar and molasses in. All right, guys. Hope that made some sense. And then going forward, I'll assign you into some groups. Those groups will study different acts, different taxes that got passed here as England tried to control the colonies a little bit. And the colonies were not big fans of that.